It's Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Muriah Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Tokpe Makodige, how you doing?
In the building.
Your hair is nice, sir.
It's lush.
Looking luscious.
It's lush hair. So
oh, really?
Lush hair is for saying our show. I liked it because it was really easy to do. I had a crochet braid already on, so I just
crochet.
Yes.
Doesn't look it.
The lady did it. The lady did it really well. I was really happy about it.
It's beautiful.
You should have used all the different colors. They have all these nice colors.
No. Thank you very much.
She wants to calm down.
Let's keep it simple. It's a simple mood. I had a very restful weekend, but yesterday, my church drama unit Reflections had like a very fantastic drama production, very thoughtful, very like I was just like, everybody was at the edge of their seat looking at I'm like, this is captivating. And our cameraman Shego performed. I saw him. Wow. It was very good.
He's like a drama kind of guy.
Yes, like he acted so well. I prepared I was going to shout out to him on the show that it was fantastic. And the lesson, it was called Labor Room, but the lesson for everyone that watched it was that your decisions determine your destiny, and your decision has ripple effects. So your decision for yourself might be good, but if it is bad for others, then it is a bad decision. Your decision must be good for everybody, and your decision must be good for God. And so if God wins, you have won. Even if it seems uncomfortable, if your decision means that God has won, then you have actually won. So it was really, really impactful.
Fantastic. Happy Democracy Day, guys.
Yeah.
It's Democracy
today is
June
we're
12.
marking it today.
So this is, last year there was all this clamor. It's June 12, June. Now it's June 12.
Proper June
12. How you doing?
We're happy.
Akasha Zidbury?
I'm fine. I'm moving forward.
4 days, on the show. 4 days.
We were
counted it for you.
I'm grateful to God. I'm just grateful. I had to buy a new engine for my car.
Oh.
I was seeing the level of flood that day as I was driving home, and I just thought, do a live video. I remember doing the live video, and somebody came on my comment and said, it's wrong to be doing a video while you're driving. I was like, if you see what I'm seeing, you will shout. I didn't even know that, coming back was worse because I had to go into Satellite Town to my children's school for open day. I couldn't get out. That Navy road was a sea on its own. My car was very deep in water, and all of us were paddling like that. By the time I got home, my engine was knocked. So I had to do it. But I'm donating blood today.
Hey, good for you.
So donate blood, save lives, and that's one thing that gets me excited.
The stuff that was stopping me, I've been moved.
Okay, great.
So after I do my thing, I'll come to the afternoon.
So
I'll definitely
there'll be a walk all through the week at every, what they call them, area, whatever they call them in Lagos, the Ibile. So Badagry, Ikorodu, Ikeja, all of that.
I think it's very important. I wasn't on the show that day. I watched it and I was happy that we gave it enough hype even online.
Yes.
But the donation of blood is not a culture we have here, except it's compulsory. We need to now make it more voluntary.
I must even shout out to them because I've been listening, I've been following, and I think the PR this year was massive.
Wow.
All radio stations, everywhere, massive PR.
Great. So
please donate blood, please. The advocacy this year was good. You have no reason not to do.
How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. So Saturday, I was hosted at the Readland for children, and I read a story. Receive, recycle, the dustbin girl.
Yes.
So it was fun that a lot of children are participating in reading and even writing their own books. So I was opportune to see their different chapters they just wanted to wave to BC. So the Ghana chapter, people from I think Badagry and all of that. And so it's more like every evening they bring children together in their different centers. They sit down and they watch somebody read to them. They answer questions. They're able to win prizes. And I'm like, wow, this is good. We've been complaining that we've sort of lost our reading culture. And now we're catching these young ones. It was really fun, yeah.
How are you doing?
How was your week?
I love your shades. Let's just start. Let's start with let's digest this look. From the shades to the hair to the red dress and the public holiday fluffy as
I have this new fantastic publicist that I have. I'll mention her name. You know her already.
Yes. Even I want to contract her because we're seeing the work.
She believes so much in my brand, and she really wants it to grow. She's doing everything to just help me push myself out there. She wants me to stop wearing some silly clothes. I said, Mariah, it doesn't
fit.
So she's trying to push me out there. So you will see some changes soon. It's her. It's that woman.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was great. Saturday, I was in school as usual. Sunday, you know, my MIL is back in town, so there's a lot of internal stuff. We did Inyon, you know, usually
Wow.
that was pounded. Mommy will not eat no more. It has to be pounded.
You've not gotten that pounding machine.
No,
I did spoil too. I bought.
No, not that one. The one
you recommended. I need to because the money I removed to buy that one, it was plenty. So let me just drink the
But
garri.
the pounding is
After a
also
while.
exercise now. I like to pound.
No, I beg you. So
Yeah,
that you
we
grow
see
up
it
with this type of arms. That
No,
I'm
we
still
don't
trying
grow
to-
finish. We're not growing again. So the pounding is also good. If you have someone who pounds, they need the exercise. It's good. I'm not buying any
It's for
pounder.
men. You know, for instead of you to do gym. That's what I always say to my brother.
You can't make a four in my
Do
for my mother.
pounded, yeah.
Once you make a four,
Don't go to the
Chama,
gym.
genuinely,
As they was they for the body.
But
there's a four, why would there be?
But I'm not just about the for not me. Let's go to a break. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with the punch. Buhari's cow roots gazette doesn't exist. Grazing ban stays, says states. Islamists join Israeli government as Prime Minister Netanyahu loses votes to opposition. Ogun housewife negotiator arrested over sale of daughters for 300,000 naira. FRSC blames wrongful overtaking as 8 killed in Bauchi Osun crashes. Hoodlums return to Lagos Ibadan Long Bridge. Residents raise alarm. Ogun rakes in 40 billion naira IGR in Q1 for real. Plans 25% growth. Brazil returnee caught with cocaine hidden in pants at Lagos airport. Anonymous group writes Okowa threatens attack over grazing ban. 933 students abducted from Nigerian schools in 6 months. And all prices experts dismiss gains. A subsidy actually nears 200 billion naira. All right, let's start with the human interest story. Which one?
No, so
yes.
according to eyewitness reports on the Long Bridge along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, there's an influx of hoodlums now, you know, carrying out criminal activities on that bridge, stealing from people, and sometimes they club people. That kind of activity you see on them at Lafia in Orile area, where they club people to leave them to die while they rob them of their personal effects. And they said that every effort, vigilante, police, everything to curb their activities there has been to no avail. They're asking for help. And I think it's something we should treat seriously because sometimes people coming into Lagos, that's their first experience. People living Lagos too is a terrible experience. And sometimes we have a long traffic on that bridge because of one falling truck or the other. We don't want insecurity on that bridge. Also, the subsidy gains.
Right.
You know, so our oil per barrel has gone to $70 per barrel. But people are saying this is not going to be of any good to us because subsidy has, swallowed everything. We have our subsidy cost reaching over $200 billion now.
Okay, so
The major story?
that's the major headline. Please.
Yes, so we remember when the president had the interview when he came to Lagos and he talked about the fact that he had asked the Attorney General of the Federation to fish out the gazettes for grazing routes so that when we have that, we can now start reclaiming those lands for the headers so that they can have their grazing routes. Now, the Ondo, Delta, Cross River, Enugu, Benue, and Akwa Ibom state governments are faulting him for that statement, saying that first of all, because he referred to 1963 when he said that Nigerians were, at that time, they were still obeying rules. He said, first of all, at that time, there were no creation of states. There was nothing like grazing routes. It was not in the Constitution. It was not anywhere. So if there's any way he can find, the paper that says there's actually a grazing route, he can tell us, then we'll have a conversation. But right now, they are still standing firm with the ban on open grazing, and they are not going to release any of their properties. But I wanted to link another story to it. So the Delta State governor has said that unidentified persons on Sunday threatened to attack Asaba and Agbo, that if he fails to, withdraw support from the ban on open grazing in 72 hours, they are going to launched that attack. And they mentioned a lot of things that they had done, they had witnessed. There was a time they said they've actually been observing all the conversations they're having. They were responsible for one attack that happened recently. And they are saying that if you don't withdraw your support, we are coming after you, and resign from that position as the chairman of the South governors. We are coming after the state.
So I quickly,
on gunmen.
I quickly tried to see how this was done. So according to the other reports, they pasted this notice across the states, and including the wall of the church. And it had the heading, Fulani Jihadists, and they're saying that they have Usman Danfodio's legacy to protect. I find this very mischievous. You know, we like to stir up things, but I don't want the security agents not to take it seriously.
They should take
but
it seriously.
I think people like to stir up this division. So that letter and the controversy would last long on the tongues of people in Asaba. For instance, it will create fear, people will be apprehensive, and we do that a lot, you know.
I was going to take the Israeli story. You taking the story?
No, I want to take Ogun State.
But you already took the story, right?
No, I haven't.
Okay, go ahead, please.
So the Ogun State government has generated 40 billion naira as internally generated revenue within the first quarter of 2021. I've always felt Ogun has potential, and that just with the right leadership because of the proximity to Lagos. And the commissioner for the Chief Economic Advisor and Commissioner for Finance, Dapo Okubadejo, disclosed this in Abeokuta, saying that they have a plan to increase their GDP from single digit to 25%. They already have a policy that they're going to start implementing, and they have 5 key points. A lot of changes would happen, that Ogun State will become the hub of logistics, and
what does that mean?
Yes, it's a transit route from Lagos, so they can actually monetize the capacity that they have. So
like thinking governments.
Yes, there's potential.
Previous governments also tried to create like a Silicon Valley in Ogun State. So when you go through the Abeokuta route from Lagos here, you find that one on the side of one estate. Tech village where young people can create things. I think Ogun State has potentials, but now that they have revenue to look up to, they should please, create that logistics so you.
Yes,
the roads in Agbara, your industrial estate has been abandoned. Please go and sit to your industrial estate while you're doing Abeokuta.
I wanted to take the Israeli story.
Please do.
Israel's parliament has voted to end Benjamin Netanyahu's 12-year tenure as prime minister, and it happened through 60 to 59 votes. I mean, it was so thin, like when they said razor-thin margin to vote in Naftali Bennett as the head. He was actually the head of ultra-nationalist party that included the centrist, the left-wing, and the right-wing parties, and which only had about 21% representation in their parliament. This is huge because we're seeing lots of minority taking over the majority parties. We've seen it even in Nigeria. It happened, where the APC took over from the PDP at the time. So these is just showing that times are changing, governments are changing, and people are beginning to understand that, listen, you cannot hold on to power forever. So this is a celebration in Israel.
And we just correct punch. That Islamist, because they make Islamist such a negative word. Muslims, Israelites living in Israel have joined governments.
So I try to avoid the headlines.
That's why I stay away from the story. So, and I hope they investigate the corruption, the level of corruption that is prosecuted for the level of corruption he carried out.
All right, that's all we can take on that. When we come back, we continue with the review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Moving on now to The Nation. Government considers pension for MK Abiola's next of kin and Kinjibe. G7 OK $650 billion loan for IMF to end COVID-19. Nigerians seek urgent action on electricity crisis. Woman sells 2 daughters for 300,000 naira. Ndume 800 billion extra votes. No excuse for military. And Forex reserves hit 4-year low. Okay, let's start with the major headline. Who has that story? Go ahead.
All the survivors, at least the wives of the Chief MKO Abiola, the winner of the June 2012 elections, 1993 elections, are being considered by government now for pension. And some people are saying, you know, just the acknowledgement of June 12 as Democracy Day is not enough. They should put them on some pension. But the government, the federal government is also looking into putting it in law. So they're proposing a bill that the National Assembly will pass and make this law so that, you know, they qualify for this. But there's a side to it.
I don't agree with you.
No, there's a side to it that every my mouth. They now add the vice presidential candidate, Kingigwe, and you know what followed after. But they're also considering that because it's part of this election issue, on that side, I want to drink water.
I just don't agree with it entirely. We don't throw money at issues. Resolve the issue of threatening democracy. I want to take the story of drug abuse. NDLEA caught an Uber driver around the airport carrying cocaine concealed in air freshener.
Wow.
And he was about to deliver it to be shipped to Equatorial Guinea. And when they caught him, through him, they were able to find the kingpin, the one who is the mastermind behind it, whose name is Egbo Emmanuel Maduka. They found him on the 9th of June and now found out all the other shipments that Egbo Emmanuel was doing. 50 grams of cocaine concealed in hair attachment, 150 grams of cocaine. Also heading to his own base is to ship to Malabo in Equatorial Guinea. And the agency is saying that they caught this bigger guy through catching the Uber driver who was helping to deliver it to
Napo. The story clarify whether the Uber driver was hired, you know,
he's actually the one. Okay,
before you know Nigeria now, he will be the one they will hold. One guy will never have means of livelihood.
Yeah, the woman, a particular woman in Ogun State, her name was Blessing Ebuneku Agoro, has been caught for allegedly selling her 2 daughters for 300,000 naira. 300,000 naira. And, you know, the suspect was arrested because the husband came back from, according to him, he said he came back from work and then he realized that the children were not available and went to the police station. He kept asking the wife to, you know, explain what happened to my 2 daughters. By the time he got to the police station and reported, they arrested the wife and then she confessed that she had to sell it to a woman who did not have children and collected 300,000.
She sold her children.
Yes, so her excuse was that this man had actually abandoned her for 2 years, did not show up. She was left with those 2 daughters and another 2 that she brought from the first husband into the marriage. Yes, so she couldn't survive she couldn't cope with the children, and that's why she had to. So investigations are ongoing. The police is saying they have to return the children back to them.
So the family that bought the children in Port Harcourt, I wonder what they've been through. You know, we have a very tedious adoption process. Yeah. 2 people are on my neck. One is keeping malice with me right now to help them. And me too, I'm not finding headway with the process.
So the second story, quickly, the Nigerian, you know, we have issues with our electricity. So the electric power supply is a major cause for concern. And the Nigerians are clamoring that stakeholders need to have a meeting. They are asking NEC to step up. And the federal government should reverse the privatization of power. So according to the chairman, he was saying that what we need is more like a review of that privatization program because it was packaged in a hurry in 2013. Now we need to come to the table and ask ourselves what is it that we need. And they're also asking that the stakeholders must have a meeting to find out if it's actually sabotage that is affecting the system or the fact that it's obsolete equipment that are being used. That's why we do not have enough power because we have invested so much in the power sector. CBN recently had given them 250 billion, and yet we do not have any form of results.
Okay, moving on now to Vanguard. Regional groups raised dust over Buhari's June 12 speech. Still on June 12, this isn't democracy we fought for, says Okwadokun. 2023, Tinubu's posters flood Abuja. Ban on open grazing, apprehension as herdsmen threaten to attack Delta. Attacks, fence your schools, install CCTV cameras, NAPS tell members. Amnesty International, 69 other CSOs seek immediate reversal of Twitter ban. Don't burden coming generations with mess we created, says Bakare. Constitution review, complete waste of time, says Makinde. And address restructuring separatists to curb existential threats, says Oyegun. Okay, which story are we starting with? Who has the CCTV?
Yes, I have it. So the national president of the National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools, NAPS, Otumba Yomi Utubela, has advised his colleagues that, you know, at this point, let's take our own life, our destiny into our hands. Fence your schools, you know, partner the communities where your schools are, partner their local vigilantes and community security. Install CCTV cameras as much as you can do to help yourself, you know, secure your schools against this menace of school kidnaps and all of that. And it was just addressing another school kidnap that happened recently.
Really, really sad.
Let me take the Seyi Makinde story. So Seyi Makinde was given account for 2 years in office and did a list of all the achievements he's had, the roads they've done, how he has improved the economical state of Oyo. But the headline carries what he said concerning constitutional review. And he said that the current constitutional review is a complete waste of time. He said in 2014, they carried people all the way to Abuja, lodged them, spent a lot of money, produced the document, yet the president, Jonathan, didn't sign it because he thought he was going to be re-elected and wanted to sign that after coming back. That document has been on their table since 2015 and they've not done anything about it. And the National Assembly has been voting money for constitutional review, has been spending the money, that the exercise going on is not going to produce any significant change. He also mentioned the fact that applying for the educational sector before was easy. You apply for university, you get into it. Now they said, do JAM. Now they said some communities are disadvantaged, so they give them preference, that there is really no growth until we have proper restructuring, when each locality can determine how they want to manage their...
Okay,
yes, so Pastor Tunde Bakari.
Yes.
Yes, so the 7th overseer of Citadel Global Community Church, I think they had a democracy sort of dialogue, and he has said that Nigeria's upcoming generation must not be burdened with all the issues that we have. He talked about the fact that it's our responsibility as a nation to build a proper nation and prepare them so that when they come in, they are not inheriting debts, they are not inheriting headers and farmers clash, they are not inheriting epileptic power supply, they are not inheriting potholes, they are not inheriting all those things that will limit them, that we're supposed to have more like restructuring, a national, you know, well-structured plan for the growth of the country so that the upcoming generation will come in and thrive. So it was a list of all the ills that we have in the country. Mentioned.
I want to take the Okpadokun, June 12th. Ayo Okpadokun is the National Democratic Coalition Secretary General. He was speaking at the governor's second-year anniversary, and he said that this is not the democracy we fought for. This is not the democracy that June 12 represents. That this democracy that he thought that after the military were taken out, that 22 years down the line would have that Nigeria have a better chance, that would have moved from being a country to being a nation. But right now, that's not the case. According to him, our educational sector has gotten worse, that it can't even be compared to Europe or any other country. Even within Africa, our educational sector has become worse, that without any fear of being contradicted, he is disappointed as someone who's fought for this democracy at what we call democracy right now. And
it's quite insensitive also for people to use this June 12th to begin to put posters around. It's there's so much happening. You're making it worse.
As in,
for your candidate or whoever it is. This is not the time.
This is not the time.
To start
Nobody's
doing that.
looking at your candidate.
And that's what they say, that really nobody will transform Nigeria for you. All of us must get involved. We will be the ones to transform Nigeria for ourselves.
They just need to just calm down. Moving on to the Nigerian Tribune. Food prices soar. Push more Nigerians into poverty. Let's find a story of not taking. Amnesty International, Serap 69 other CSOs asked Buhari to reverse ban on Twitter. Convoke Sovereign National Conference again. Decentralized police, Anglican Church tells federal government. Let's find another story. Police recover 1.3 million naira from suspected kidnappers in Abuja. Bureau de change banks to get more dollars as committee agrees on supply increase. And Nigeria and the burden of 33 trillion naira debt. That's a business analysis material that is really interesting.
We did take the 800 billion supplement.
I think somebody has taken that.
We've not
800 billion naira supplementary budget. Our army has no excuse to defeat insurgencies in Dume. Senator Ndume was speaking. You have that story.
Yes, so Senator Ndume was addressing the new proposal by the federal government for another approval of 800 billion naira supplementary budget to address deficit in our military and, you know, for development in our agricultural sector. He commended government and said, with this new development, army has no excuse but win the war against Boko Haram, citing how the Northeast has lost so much. And, you know, because he's from there, he speaks a lot for his people. But I would say let's probe the ones so far spent.
Yeah.
On, you know, because I do not believe that. I believe that personally, I believe there's been sabotage within the military so far for what has been spent, because the results are not, you know, cannot be compared. Before we start pumping money into another conduit, let's be sure.
Let's talk about the food crisis, because
the
inflation in food. Let me specify. In Osun State, they said that there's a Osun, Ondo, Oyo, 35% increase in the cost of food. For some areas, they said Gari has gone from 450 naira for 1 Congo to 1,100 naira for 1 Congo.
2,000.
I'm talking about Ondo. I'm talking about Osun. Don't even talk about Lagos. It's cuts across as far as the north. That bag of rice from 30,000 to 32,000 naira range. The price of food has gone so high and making life unbearable for many citizens of Nigeria. Please, in our president's speech, he did not mention that. None of our governors are acknowledging this. Okay, Lagos State is saying that they have their expanding food self-sufficiency. A lot of that lip service saying it, but we need to do more to bring down the cost of food.
I bought in Ramadan 40, the big ones. I bought 1.8. I priced the same thing 4.2. Just this last week.
1.8 to 4,200.
Gary paint bucket that we used to buy 1,000, 1,002. And I can be drinking it anyhow. Come and see me holding Gary for my children. Telling them
the paint bucket used to be 700 though. I used to buy paint too.
You are talking of back in days. Because of COVID, we are started buying 1.2 per paint. So we can still buy. I can still give
for
you.
1.9
But now if I buy you Gary, I'll collect money. It's over 2,000.
I had a dream I was buying onions. What does that mean?
We have to run. Unfortunately, I've run around. We need to spend a day talk about this food prices.
Let's not even be reviewing.
Yes, Amnesty International are partnering with other CSOs, about 50 of them, and they are appealing to the federal government to lift the ban over Twitter. They are also asking the United Nations and other international to apply pressure on Nigeria. Also, we have joined, like the Nigerian government has joined an Indian app, Co. They have registered there. They have 2,100 followers already. Most of the government officials are using that particular one. It works like Twitter as well. So maybe that's okay. I'm not saying they just put it in
we
papers.
can take on front page review. I mean, but interesting, it's not only Nigeria that has banned Twitter. Quite a lot of countries actually have banned Twitter.
India created Co. That's what we created.
That's the issue. So it is a whole different conversation.
They didn't even ban it.
I want to let us go on a break. When we come back, what's hot? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So over the weekend, many Nigerians came out to protest as a demonstration to abolish the 1999 Constitution, amongst many other requests they had of the government. But unfortunately, these protests were wreaked with some types of violence, throwing of tear gas at citizens, and it was almost as though the focus and direction of the protest wasn't achieved. What are your thoughts on this? Were we able to achieve what the intention was for the protest over the weekend, or did we totally fall short of the objectives? You can call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-76948. You can also tweet to us. No, you can't tweet to us. You can also send your comments to Facebook, and we'll read your comments.
Honestly.
All right, so talk about the process over the weekend. What are your thoughts? Because, I mean, for one, when I read, I think it was a 4 or 5 point agenda that was sent out on what the process was about. And it seemed laudable. It seemed like it was a direction of the average Nigerian, their thoughts and what we wanted the government to do. But then we didn't have the mass of people that we thought we would have. And I saw videos. Of the police trying actually to converse with some of the protesters, saying, well, we are here to protect you. Just don't let it be taken over by hoodlums. But even with that, there's still some violence that happens. So I'm thinking, what were your own total summation of the protests over the weekend?
So for me, people are scared. I was even shocked that they were able to get the number they got outside for the protest, that there was even a protest, because many people have learned that our lives don't anything can happen. A bullet can become, they can misfire one bullet and then you hear that there was nothing that happened. You know, bodies can, stories that touch can happen. So many people were careful. I got phone calls from people, please stay at home. I said, our show does not happen on that day. And everybody was really scared and didn't go out. Now, like you said, they had their point for what the protest should be about. I felt that the protest, the conversation I heard from the protest ground as posted online did not mirror what I feel our agitation should be about. It felt like it got hijacked. So the protest was insultive, and I could understand, but we must keep our emotions in check because we have a goal. If your goal is to demand for good governance, your goal is to demand for restructuring, your goal is to demand for true federalism, your goal is to demand for access to good healthcare, remove your emotion of that they will not hear you. Put your eye on the ball. So I was hearing things like Buhari must go, and I'm wondering, there is no way you would achieve any result with that statement, because we've heard before that day what the presidency said at previous interviews he did. He already feels like, he mentioned that the protester that wants to remove me from power. From what he said, any inclination towards that, every laudable request you have raised would not be taken serious. Yeah. So you must keep your eye on the ball, and I felt that the protest was hijacked, and the protest now lost the essence of why you should be protesting. And of course, there was still firing of tear gas. I did not understand why that took place in Ojota, but there was firing of tear gas. And there was it was a peaceful protest before.
Initially, it started out peacefully. I didn't hear of tear gas in Ojota until much later. But it happened more in Abuja. And I think there was protests also in Ondo.
Even our reporters carried the tear gas in...
Yeah, eventually, yes, they do tear gas in Ojota. Yes, Nima, your thoughts on this protest?
Mr. President must stop reacting to every call for good governance as an agitation. I think he must, you know, whatever he needs to do, and especially his advisors, because when you hear the AG speak, you wonder, you know, who is advising. If this is the person advising the president, where are we? Right. The AG completely forgets that he's an appointee of the people. He forgets that he's an appointed office. He talks as if he's an elected office. In fact, he has more authority than the VP. And I wonder sometimes, so Mr. President, not everybody is against your government when they ask you that prices are high, things are hard, people are talking. It's not every time that people are sponsored to do that. We know that they pay people to protest. We know that they pay people, just as you know, people claim that, you know, you also pay for them to do your own pro-protest as against people protesting against. But not every agitation is against Mr. President. But then again, for me, those people protesting, I would never be seen with any protester, because some people came on my page. They're not protesting. I will not join voices with you asking for us to do things the wrong way. I'd rather queue up with a Jimmy Disu asking people that, well, after we have achieved this democracy that people lost their lives for us to get, are we now asking ourselves that we should not have a democracy again? In a democratic setting, you have elections. That's what you have. So if you call for good governance by the government and it doesn't work, it's not Buhari must go. That is the way out. If you want to do Buhari must go, ask your representatives to remove him by impeachment. Exactly. Let them find a ground for process. I think people should sit down, educate themselves on the constitutional ways to go about removal, impeachment, you know, changing of government, and we will enjoy this, you know, this thing called governance. Thank you very much. If we cannot do that.
I mean, I'll come to BC in a minute, but you see, that's because when people expect us to get emotional, that they want us to jump on the bandwagon. It's always important for us to remind them that we're in a democracy. There are ways. You can scream all you want from here to tomorrow. But the truth is that nothing's going to happen. We've seen an example. It happened October last year when we all protested for NSAS. It happened. How far did it get us?
Nowhere.
So the point is that there are ways of doing this thing. How many of us have our voters' cards? How many of us showed up for ordinary local government elections?
Most of these people protesting, people did not show up. Refuse to go and canvass for a change. Okay, we don't want this president anymore, or we don't even want this party. Me, I will do door to door. Take that initiative. See the way they did it abroad. It worked. And when they failed, they allowed Trump out for 4 years. Trump was nobody shouted Trump must go. They stayed the course. So when you have a democracy, it's institutions, you know, and encouraging and defending your institutions is the best thing that can happen to any country. We must have proper institutions.
So I personally do not encourage any form of protest anymore because it's been abused over time. So they say when the purpose of something is not known, abuse is inevitable. We come out to protest, but we do not come out in unity. We do not speak with one voice. You just find out that we have agreed that we are coming out to follow this 4 or 3 or 5 agenda, and you go there and you see 7, 8, 9, and people are coming up with different things. And then, because the youths are, there's what they call a mixed multitude. People will obviously use that opportunity to, take advantage of the situation and start causing mayhem. So, in one hand, people are actually protesting for what is right. On the other hand, people are beginning to destroy things. So, we have seen that the protest is not working for us anymore. I think it's time for young people to ask themselves, what exactly do we want? Do we want to solve these issues that we have? How best can we table it and make them listen? Is it the voters card that we need right now? Do we need to come out and participate in government? Is that a way to get in and change? Because you cannot change from the outside. If we keep saying every so-and-so date, let us stand and protest. Every so-and-so date, we are not heading anywhere with that sort of, it's not working for us because there are people who are waiting to take advantage and cause a lot of things. Yeah. So for now, can we avoid the protest and re-educate ourselves? What exactly do we want? Those young people on the street that are being used to scatter some of the protests, can we start having conversations with them to understand that we're supposed to work with one voice? Okay. Very important.
So, BC, I wouldn't say I'm against protest because protest is actually constitutional. It's part of what we're supposed to do. It's part of the democracy. Protesting is part of the electoral process. It's part of the whole gamut of things, the options you can do. But what you have said is that we've been protesting for a while. You can't do the same thing and expect a different result. So we're saying that protest is good. But also let's go back and remodel how we go about it so that we get that change. Yeah. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still talking about the protest that happened on Saturday. Toko, you're going to say something to add to that.
Another thing that I realized with the protest is that there are many people that had good intentions, that like they had their agenda. Then I saw a protest of people a video of a bus conductor that was showing his shoe that, how can you say I am lazy? I went to school. I finished from Polytechnic. I didn't get a job. Now I'm a bus conductor. I bought this shoe. Look at how the shoe is like worn out. Like I'm a very hard-working Nigerian. You have not given me opportunities. And when we approach, and that is a legitimate grievance to raise that this government is not giving me opportunities to excel. And I believe that our government needs to create a channel to listen to the voice of the people and not politicize every complaint against them, because we now, the statement is that these people, and they're your people. I felt really bad at the responses that many people have got, many of our politicians have given to the protest, in that they are pointing fingers. They are not they. They are us. They are a reflection of the society.
They are your children.
So until we take ownership of the struggles of the less privileged in society, they are your weakest link. No matter how good your infrastructure is, as long as you have that unruly person that feels disgruntled, the massive, beautiful edifice you have built, he will go there and destroy it. They will break the iron from the road and take it away. So I feel that the protests are good. We must remain in line with what we have agreed we will be protesting on. And our leaders need to listen to us and distract them, take away the noise that is always present at protests like this.
I mean, there were like 14 critical demands of the protesters. Let me just bring up about 6 of them. It says, number 1, the abolishment of the 1999 Constitution, an end to terrorism, banditry, and insecurity, the sack of the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, that's Issa Pantami, the immediate freedom of all detained while protesting, that's the NSAS, justice to the victims of the NSAS also, and a revert of the electricity tariffs, fuel price, and party deregistration. So these are issues. Now, my question, therefore, is that these are these are demands. But are there other ways we could have actually achieved this? I know with the Easter Pantami, many people came to Twitter and saying, you have to take this man out. Unfortunately, he fell on deaf ears. So he was appointed. So obviously, there's nothing we can do. It's the prerogative of the presidency for his appointment. But there are other things. Release of the NSAS, stop harassing them. The fuel price crisis, the issues of electricity. These are legitimate demands. So are there other ways? So, I mean, that's why I say protesting is important. At the same time, if you want real change, it's really with the voters' card.
I think Nima can lecture us on the other ways because we have constitutional backing for repealing some things that she will be able to guide us on what to do.
Unfortunately, the constitution that we have has ways that it can be renewed and amended. And we cannot leave a lacuna to have a new constitution. That's where there's a problem. People that say, just abolish, abolish. So we'll have a vacant place for us. The constitution, we have to follow what is in the constitution.
Must we?
Must we?
We must. That's the conversation. You see, Nigerians, I'll let you respond. I'm trying to, what Nigerians are saying, that listen, we are the human beings that put this constitution together. And we're saying, we these same human beings, we're saying, this constitution cannot work. We want to abolish it.
So I want to get that was imposed on us.
Yes. Who imposed it? Military. We had a military government. And they couldn't have a lacuna, just as I said before, to hand over. There has to be a ground. Everything has to have a foundation. And so they have a constitution that they put in place, and we had a foundation. And the moment we came in, to get our voices as one, to do the right thing, became difficult. Because the person where they chop, they look the person where they hungry, say, he hates me, they bad-belay me. And that's how we didn't get what we wanted. The people who were in the National Assembly have their interests separate from that of the people. We could have had an amendment that would eventually reflect
within the
what we want. Within the first dispensation. So if it's becoming tougher by the day.
If the national confab, for example, was legitimized, could they have then moved to abolish?
So the national confab had their resolutions.
Right.
We just needed the National Assembly to say, vote to adopt.
Yes.
Okay. And change whatever sections we are moving and saying, okay, let's even give powers, make this section chapter 2 of the Constitution judiciable, so that people can go to court and sue for the rights
of the protest now be that can we implement the national can we protest that the House of Assembly, Senate and House of Reps should implement the
or go back to the 1963 Constitution, which people are saying.
So you have for my own constituency, for instance, we have our senators, our House of Reps members recycling themselves in power, and the change has not come. Next election, what should you do?
It's too far.
No, it's not too far. It's not, because it's too far. Now we take reach 2020.
Let me take this call from Kazim. Kazim, are you there?
Remove the.
Kazim, are you there? Hello, Kazim, from the UK.
Mariah, I'm here.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning, Mariah.
Morning.
Good morning, Tokwe, and good morning, Lima.
Good morning.
I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's very easy, very quick and simple. What we need to do in Nigeria, we just keep protesting, keep repeating the same thing all the time, right? But we have lost the touch of actually the citizens, the youth, which is our strength. We have actually lost the touch.
I can't hear him.
To the poll. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, the volume is really low.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes, I can.
We can.
One of the strength of our population is the youth, which is about 65% of our population.
Yeah.
Now, these protests have actually not done anything.
Yes.
There has been no result. It's been adjusted by too long. Now, what we need to do is organize yourself, go to the poll during the election, and take out this government if you want it. Because that's the only way, that's the only tool. The simple local government elections, the youth are not, they can't even, they are not participating. So if it's not on, you get to the straight route, you need to start from the grassroots. The people that are representing you from your work, the councillors, are they the real right people? Are they the right person that is going to represent you up to the local government chairman? So if you don't have this conversation now, we will just keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again, and it's just going to continue like that with any cycle. That's my contribution. Thank you very much,
Kazim. Yes, BC, go ahead.
Posterity will judge every action that any leader takes.
Yes.
You may think you have the powers right now, you can do and undo, but it will wait for you at the future. I would like to, advise our president and our leaders to pay attention to the cry of the people. they say that the voice of the people is the voice of God. If somebody is saying that this is not working for us, we are the ones that are bearing the brunt. All of the decisions you are taking, at least put us into consideration so that lives can be better for us. And you find a way to politicize this that is not coming from your own political party. Just find a way to push it around. Posterity is watching. And the children will read the history of how you ruled during your time. So we need to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
I also want to appeal. You know, right now, a lot of people still feel that protesting is like the way forward. If you don't make noise, if you don't come out, the government will not listen. I know that the youth have a lot of energy, but it's time for us to match that energy with wisdom. There is nothing wrong in waiting to follow due process. So right now, the way we are using gri, let us use that gri to go and get our voters card. Let us join political parties. Let us ensure that we hold our representatives accountable so that we can make that change from the inside.
Let me take Sunday. Sunday, are you there from Ogun State? Sunday, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Morning, sir. Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Please, let me say this. I don't want to buy into the idea of some people are not sponsored to protest. I don't want to buy into that. The only thing is that we misplace our priority in this country. It's as if we don't know exactly what we have. You know, I cited one example, maybe yesterday or so, that when I was having a conversation with someone, that when you have a 10-year-old son and he's crying, you are asking the son, what do you want? And he didn't say anything, just crying. What you as a parent will do until one outsider comes and that person is answering, what do you know? What do you want to that boy? And the boy said, I'm hungry. You as parents, what will we do to that boy now? Is it not that you will give him knock or something? We don't know. We know we are hungry in this country. Something is going wrong, but we don't have one voice. So that is the problem.
Did you hear?
Yes, so
what did he say? I think
so he's saying that when you have a child crying all the time as a parent and you're wondering, asking the child, what do you want? But the child just keeps crying. Eventually, an outsider makes the child ask the child the same question, and then he says to the person, I'm hungry. You know, so what he's even simply saying is that the protesters, there's a loud noise that we're all making, but nobody's making sense. Eventually, maybe when we now get a platform outside, we're itemizing the issues, and, you know, we're not talking directly to the parents who can change things. So protests should have a clear agenda. I agree with that. But I wanted to quickly say that, earlier about the issue of our history. So what the damage that removal of our history has cost us is too wide for us that we're paying for now. We also have we need government, you know, every time we are sitting in those offices to remember that the selfishness of our predecessors got us here.
Yes.
And that our own further selfishness to quickly take our own share of the cake, as we like to call it, is why we have this problem. Protesters have clear issues. When I come out and I'm shouting, satellite tank farms, bad roads, everything, they are realities. And so when I see a responsive government come and there's a bit of change, I would relax. When people come out and they say, no, we have hardship, food is tough, you know, they are killing people, elders are eating away farmers.
They are genuine concerns.
The question is, Nima, what he
issues.
said, if you don't answer the agitation, then someone like Sunday Igboho will take and listen to those agitations and combat it. Something like IPOB will happen. They will listen to the agitations of the Southeast and combat it.
Yeah.
So you as a leader must hear your people's complaints and listen and address them.
Let me go on a break.
Immediately
Let me go on a quick break. When I come back, we continue this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still celebrating Democracy Day, and we have a renowned legal practitioner and a former Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice in Ondo State, Mr. Remi Peter Olatubora, SAN, to discuss major issues that have dominated our political landscape and polity in the past 2 decades. and also preferring some kind of solutions to the challenges bedeviling our country. Welcome to the show, sir. Good morning. Are you there? Mr. Peters, are you there? I'm sure we'll also be happy. Good morning, sir. Good to have you on the show.
Yeah, good morning.
So, happy Democracy Day.
I wish you the same.
Yes. So, sir, let me start with last weekend there was a protest, especially because Nigerians are agitating over issues that is obviously known to many of us already. We have the issue of the current, people are saying the 1999 Constitution must be abolished or reviewed. Others are saying that democracy has not been functional in Nigeria. How do we make it more functional? In your experience, as we celebrate Democracy Day today, how best can we institutionalize the democracy that we have such that it works for us as it has worked for other nations abroad? Sir, are you there?
I can hear you.
Did you hear the question?
Yeah, I got the question.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Well, there are a number of ways by which we can improve on our democratic structures at the moment. We have had a consistent agitation for the restructuring of the Federation of Nigeria over the years. Several constitutional conferences have been held. Reports have been rendered to the government. Those reports are in the shelves, maybe in National Rock, gathering dust. Nothing has been done about all of these reports. I had the rare privilege of being part of the process of the Constitutional Conference of 2014 organized by the ex President. We render reports. One of the critical areas that we addressed in the report was how to restructure the Nigerian Federation to make it workable, to go back to those fundamental basis of the formation of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that was agreed to preparatory to independence in 1959. We had our independence in 1960. And then one critical area that we must find solutions to are, number one, the formula for revenue allocation between the central government and the constituent units. The terms that we agreed to in 1960, under the 1960 Constitution, and you can check all of those in Section 130, 131, 132, 133, 134, 135 of the 1960 Constitution. All import duty on products such as tobacco, motor spirit, diesel, etc., were to be federally collected and then remitted back to the regional government based on the level of consumption of this product that each of those constituent units. Again, if you check Section 134 of 1960 Constitution, which addresses the issue of mineral resources derivation and allocation principle. It says mining royalties and mining rents are to be collected by the Federal Republic of Nigeria, government of the Federation. 50% of the revenue received will go back to the oil-bearing region. And then 30% paid to federal distributable pool. Which were the fundamental terms, because when you talk about the federation, issues that are very critical are power sharing between the central government and the constituent units. Number two, tax sharing power between the central government and then, of course, the constituent units. And then, of course, revenue allocation system between the central government and the constituent units vertically, and then horizontally, the formula for revenue allocation among the constituent units in such a way that we ensure or achieve the objective of revenue allocation. And these objectives are: 1, national unity; number 2, balanced growth and development; number 3, efficiency; and then number 4, to ensure that the citizens of the country get optimum dividends of democracy.
Okay.
All of this we have lost under the current constitution. And so fundamentally, there must be a reformulation of the current constitution. We can discard and come up with a brand new constitution that will take us back to the fundamental basis on which we agreed upon when Nigeria was to be established.
All right, let me get a few more questions in for you.
To address that, we are going to have a problem in our hands.
Right.
All right, so listening to you, I'm happy that you were privileged to be part of the last confab. There are 2 issues that you've raised. I want us to clarify it because we also need to find a solution going forward. One of the things you raised was the idea of resource control and revenue sharing. This was an issue that I don't even think was clearly resolved in the previous confab. How the agitations are usually tied to these 2 issues. Can we control our resources? Can we have true federalism? If we decide to go through proper resource control, giving every state ability to control whatever natural resources they have, maximize the resources natural to them, what would you say would be the right percentage? Because we've never had that conversation. That should go to the federal government if each state is controlling their resource.
I had the studio up to the point of the presenter asking.
Okay, let me go on a quick break.
What can we agree upon?
Sorry, let me go on a break. When we come back, we'll clarify the issue. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us.
So I had a question.
Yes.
I asked that if we're to have resource control by states, what would you advise would be the percentage that will be remitted to the federal government?
Thank you.
Hello, sir. Are you there?
Yes, the percentage.
Did you get the question, sir?
It's not a matter of
Go ahead.
what percentage to be remitted to the federal government. What I mean is that we should go back to the basic principles that we agreed upon under the Independence Constitution. Import duties, we agreed on products such as motor spirit, tobacco, etc., were to be centrally collected and remitted back to the states based on the level of consumption. Under 1960 Constitution, which we must revert back to, which I think we should revert back to, revenue from oil minerals, or mineral resources generally, were to be collected by the government of the Federation. The Federation will keep 30% in the distributable pool, 50% remitted to the states, where the oil revenue is derived from. Revenue received from agricultural exports was to be collected federally and then remitted to the states or the region as it was then, according to the proportion of production. These are the fundamental issues that we agreed upon. Look, in every federation, I can just cite 2 examples. In Brazil, tax power is divided between the federal government and the regional government in such a way that the taxing power given to the constituent unions enable the constituent unit to be able to raise 34.5% of revenue that is collectible in Brazil. And with this 34.5%, they can finance their own local expenditure up to 54.8%. In India, taxing power is divided between the central government and the regional government in such a way that of all the revenue, total revenue collectible in India, 30% is to be collected by the regional government. And this accounts for over 50% of the cost of their expenditure. Then the remaining funds collected federally, a percentage is paid into the federal distributable pool and shared among the states. This is the standard the world over. In the Constitutional Conference of 2014, we debated this issue. It was clear that we might not be able to revert back to the position we were in 1960. But we agree on a middle of the road point, which was that let us, for instance, for now, start with 25% of revenue remittance on the basis of derivation back to the oil-bearing states. Let us have a 10-year moratorium by which agriculture will be developed in the northern part of the country. Look, in 1960, tax or revenue from export on agricultural products was higher than the money we realized from oil revenue. Today, the northern Nigeria still have the potential of feeding the whole of Africa and then even export to large part of the world of all manners of agricultural food. So, but because over the year we have left agriculture unattended to, particularly in northern Nigeria, every one of us now will now focus on oil revenue. Oil becomes the only source of revenue, and all of us are gravitating only towards oil. If we have invested our resources over the years in agriculture, the whole of northern Nigeria can feed the whole of the world. And by now, the resources from oil revenue or raw oil will be very marginal in total revenue receipt of Nigeria.
All right, let me get a few more questions.
Because we abandoned the very important, we abandoned the very critical. Right. And that's why we are today, and we are talking, we're negotiating how much of oil revenue is to be held up by the states where this oil is derived, how much is going to be shared by others, because we have abandoned all other productive sector of the economy.
Let me get a few more questions in for you, sir.
In the Constitutional Conference of 2014, we agreed on 25% and then 10-year moratorium by which heavy investment is to be made on agriculture in the north, so that the capacity of northern Nigeria to generate revenue will be, if not as much as what you have in the oil-bearing.
All right, let me get a few questions in for you.
Sir.
Go ahead, Nima.
Okay, so because we want this conversation to be rich and we're informing people, I'd like you to take us, because now we're asking to be reverting to the 1960 Constitution. How exactly did we even arrive at, where we are now? Why do we want to go back? Let's understand the history. We've had the 1979 Constitution, we've had the 1963 Constitution. Why did we change this model that was working in 1960 and, arrived at this 1999 Constitution in the first place? Let's just do a bit of history.
Unfortunately, I'm not hearing you very well. I'm not hearing Elijah at all.
Oh. Can you hear me, sir, now?
Let me go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So before the break, Minima asked the question. Sir, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you.
Please go ahead with the answer. Thank you.
Yes, what we agreed upon, which I said were enumerated in section 130 to 135 of the Independence Constitution, was swept away when the military took over in 1966. The military virtually erased the fiscal autonomy of the constituent units when they took over government. Between 1966 and 1979, that the military were in power, virtually close to 90% of the revenue basis of the constituent unit were eroded and taken to the federal level. And then again, whereas under the 1960 Constitution, there were only 44 items in the exclusive legislative list. That's the power of the federal government, the central government. Under the current Constitution, you have 68 items that are exclusive to the federal government. And so you find that over the years, Nigeria has been turned in practice to a unitary system. So our so-called federal system is in essence a unitary system. Look, do you know that under the 1960 Constitution, issues such as arms and ammunition were under the concurrent list? Today, it is exclusively under the federal government power under the exclusive list. Today, state governments are battling insurgency. They are setting up security organization, maybe you call it vigilante or amotekun. But they don't even have the power under the Constitution to buy to them ordinary gunpowder. Because the issue of arms and ammunition is now in the exclusive legislative list. And if the federal government does not give permission, you go nowhere. So, and then now you talk about amending the Constitution. I see the National Assembly member going around the country holding conferences, town hall meeting on constitutional public hearing. Let me tell you, and when we end this program, go and check our Constitution. Look at the procedure for the amendment of the Constitution under Section 8 and Section 9 of the Constitution. You will find that what the National Assembly members are doing around is just an exercise in futility. Look, the Constitution set the procedure for the amendment of the Constitution. For example, if you want to create additional states, which is one of the agitation at the background, you have to commence that by a request by members representing that particular area desiring creation of new states in the National Assembly and the State Assembly of that particular area. They must, by 2/3 at the National Assembly and their State Assembly, bring up a request. The request must go by way of referendum. And people in that area must vote in a referendum. 2/3 of them must approve of the state creation. This same procedure applies in creation of local government, adjustment of boundary, etc. In respect of other provisions of the Constitution that are not under section, that are not covered by the amendment procedure under Section 8, you must get the 2/3 of National Assembly. You must also get at least simple majority of 2/3 of the states of the Federation. That is 24 of the 36 states. National State Assembly must approve by simple majority. That is the simplest to be done. Let me tell you that the procedure being gone through by the National Assembly at the moment can never take us to a point at which we are going to be able to address the fundamental issues bedeviling our Constitution.
Right. Point taken. Let me pause you for a second because we have very little time left. Let me
all right, sir. So you have mentioned a few of the foundational issues that we have with the Constitution and why people are agitating for a new Constitution. But there's also a very major issue, which is about marginalization and the fact that the government is not really following the federal character principle in terms of appointments. Now, do you think that this Constitution, the 1999 Constitution that we have now, do you think amendment is the way to go? Or we should go back to the 1960-1963 Constitution? And if we do, at the time we had that Constitution, it served the people because the honest truth was that our population was small. Do you think going back to that Constitution now would serve the current Nigeria with over 200 million people? Or people should come together and put to the table how they want their resources, aside from resources, how they want to come to the table with equity? Do you think that should be the way to go? Which one should we do now, in your opinion, sir?
Thank you. I am not averse to the suggestion that we can come together and renegotiate the basis of our existence as a nation. I don't share the view of those who feel that Nigeria is not a workable federation any longer, unfortunately. I believe that this country is a good country, is a beautiful country, and that the fundamental problems that we have at the moment can still be reworked. All of us should come together. But in coming together, we must be sincere. We must be frank in our discussion. There must be no deceit. We must ask why in 1976, Kano State with Lagos State with comparable population had number of local governments that were not too fundamentally different. Today, Lagos remains with 20 constitutionally recognized local governments. Forget about this SCDA, they are not recognized under the Constitution. 20 constitutionally recognized local governments. Kano State, that was almost of the same status with Lagos State in 1976. Now, you have Jigawa and Katsina created out of old Kano State. When you put all the three states together, there are 105 local governments. And then Lagos still remain with 20.
Imagine.
Even between, in our own southwest, Oyo State and Ondo State were created in 1976. Later on, Osun was carved out of Oyo State. Osun has a landmass of about 9,000 square kilometers. Ondo State has 15,000 square kilometers. Ondo State has 4.6 million population. Osun State has 4.7 million. Osun has 30 local governments. Okay? Ondo State has 18 local governments. Okay. So the imbalance is there when you talk about North and South, and even regionally, when you compare one state to the other in our Southwest and ditto Southeast. So the imbalance is everywhere. So we have to put everything on ground and have a sound, frank discussion. Because these issues are very important, because the issue of revenue allocation we are talking about, the number of local governments also determine how much of federal revenue is taken to each state.
Okay, so we have to wrap up. Sir,
revenue is now divided between the central government, that is federal government, state government, and local government.
Sir, let me come here, because what you're saying is not new. These are conversations we've had over and over again. And that's one of the reasons why the National Confab was so important. Everybody came back to the drawing board, and this report was materialized. My question, therefore, is, instead of us reverting to the 1960 Constitution, the 1963 Constitution, in your view, why don't we just push our lawmakers to adopt the National Confab? Why is this government so adverse to accepting a confab that was agreed, that everybody seemed, all the notable people were called together and they came for this confab. Why is this government so adverse to implementing it? Do you think?
Well, I cannot understand, my dear sister, I cannot understand. I had expected that the confab report ought to be looked into by the government, and then of course the government should look at all of those recommendations that were agreed to by leaders from across all ethnic nationalities from all states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Large representation of traditional institutions were in that confab. I do not presently work in this government, but I cannot, so for this reason, I cannot say the reason why the government has not been able to. Just look at that report. If you do not like the messenger, at least look at the message. If the message is good enough, adopt the message. Because you see, the Constitution says the essence of government, that's Section 14, sub 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, says that the security of the people and the welfare of the citizens shall be the primary purpose of governance, of government. When you look at those reports of 2014, you find that virtually everything that we are talking about, revenue allocation, division of power between the federal and the state, we agreed to unanimously. All the resolutions passed in 2014 report were passed unanimously in the National Assembly, or by what we call consensus. So I cannot understand why we find it difficult to look at the report. So I cannot speak with
no problem,
for the government in power.
That.
Maybe the Minister Lai Mohammed will be able to speak on behalf of the President as to the reason why.
Thank you very much.
Very difficult.
We have to wrap up now.
The report.
Thank you so much. We've been speaking with the former Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice Ondo State, Mr. Remy Peter Olatubora, SAN. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us from Abuja studios.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you.
Ladies, so as we wrap up, your general thought is Democracy Day, and there's that continuous conversation on strengthening our democracy. And Nigerians, as much as we want better democracy, sometimes it's like the undemocratic approach that is the easiest way to get things done. Which is what I wanted to echo what Nima has said earlier, that if we want to really strengthen our democracy, let's do things the democratic way. If you want to renew the constitution, what are the best procedures? But the House is going around town and people are saying it's an effort in futility. I don't know how else we expect the House to review a constitution. People are saying this constitution is not working for us. Do we what exactly do to fix the problem? Right. I mean, these are conversations we keep having.
My final message to Nigerians on our Democracy Day. My final message to Nigerians for our Democracy Day is that democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people. The people need to get more involved in the process beyond complaining online and just protesting. We need to get our voters card. We need to register in the parties. We need to go and vote and stand and let our votes be counted. That's how we get involved.
That's all we can take on this. Thank you, ladies. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.